Republican primary. The gloves are coming off from Trump and Cruz. Both campaigns are starting to go after each other now. And it's interesting to note that the drive-bys all said this wouldn't happen unless somebody got the go-ahead from me here at Talk Radio. Remember that? What happened was that Trump goes after Cruz, but he did so using liberal language. I forget the specifics of what it was, but he attacked Cruz the way liberal Democrats would. And at that point, so, Donald, that's if you want to hit Cruz, go ahead, but it's not going to help you to do that. Not that way. And Trump backed off. And so the media started running around saying, well, isn't it interesting? Limbaugh gets mad at Trump and Trump backs down. So is it going to take Limbaugh approving of Trump's behavior before he gets back into gear? And now Trump and Cruz are going at each other without regard for what's being said about them here on Talk Radio or anywhere else, which is fine. It's the natural evolution of a political competition. The two front runners are going after each other. Now, the way it is manifesting itself now, Real Clear Politics has a story here that the Cruz campaign is making phone calls in primary states that are the equivalent of testing various lines or criticisms of Trump. They're running them by people on the phone to get a reaction to it. Here's how the Real Clear Politics story begins. Although Ted Cruz has insisted that he will not personally attack Trump as the race for the nomination heats up, supporters of Cruz appear to be weighing how best to target Trump in Iowa, where Cruz holds a narrow lead. A message-testing phone call in Iowa on Monday floated 7 distinct lines of attack against Trump, asking whether each one would make the listener more or less likely to support him. Kedron Bardwell, a political science professor at Simpson College in Iowa, received one of these calls, and he made detailed notes, which he provided then to Real Clear Politics. One potential attack noted Trump's recent remark to a Christian audience in Iowa that he has never asked God for forgiveness. So apparently what's happening is that Trump people or Cruz people are calling people in Iowa and say, hey, Donald Trump said to an audience, a Christian audience in Iowa, that he's never asked God for forgiveness. Does that make you more or less likely to support Trump? Another question depicted Trump as a New York liberal pretending to have conservative values. And Cruz has even gone public with that the other day. He said, look, everybody knows Donald Trump is New York. And he didn't characterize New York what, but the message is clear: New Yorkers are liberal. 2 other potential attacks target Trump's loyalty to the GOP. One noting that Trump had changed his party ID. The other mentioning his Reform Party candidacy for president in 1999 and 2000 and his prior financial support for Democrats. 3 other attacks cited Trump's stances on eminent domain, abortion, and single-payer health care. In other words, the Cruz people are calling people up and saying, do you know Donald Trump one time supported single-payer health care? Do you know that Donald Trump at one time was pro-choice? Do you know at one time, and even now Donald Trump believes in eminent domain? What's that? Well, that's where the government come take your property and pay you a little bit for it. So the theory is that these are Cruz people making these phone calls, engaging the response on the phones in advance of preparing attack ads against Trump. So for all of you who have called here or written me sometimes nice, sometimes caustic emails, accusing me of giving Trump a pass on the premise that Trump's not a conservative and I am, and why am I not calling him on it? Why am I letting him get away? Well, why are you supporting Trump? Trump's not a conservative, blah, blah, one variation or another on that. The answer has always been, don't worry. The candidates will take care of that in due course. at some point, it's been a hands-off toward Trump now for all the obvious reasons. I mean, Trump fires back when you hit him, for one thing. The other thing is there are still people who think Trump's not going to make it. There are some who think that Trump supporters are not going to caucus. They're not going to show up and actually vote. There are some who think that after Iowa and New Hampshire, that Trump actually isn't going to win any of them. And when that happens, the whole dynamic is changed. And the long version of the story is that Trump may end up getting out of this, and he's got a lot of voters out there. So I don't want to be too hard on Trump, some of these candidates are saying, because I want his voters if he doesn't make it. There's all kinds of reasons why people aren't criticizing Trump. But with every day that goes by that Trump doesn't get out, with every day that goes by that Trump does not weaken, with every day that goes by that nothing changes, well, then the people who want what Trump wants are going to start hitting him. And it appears the Cruz campaign is getting ready for I don't want to call it an assault, but they're getting ready for an ad campaign that is actually going to focus on the fact that Trump may not be a conservative. Some of you people supporting Trump may think he is, but he's not. Now, I don't know for sure that's happening, but that's what this Real Clear Politics story sets up as a possibility. It says the message testing telephone calls come as the race to win Iowa has narrowed to Cruz and Trump, both of whom lead Marco Rubio by double digits. And this story is from yesterday. Washington Examiner. This gives a different side of it. This story, Republican frontrunner Donald Trump captures 45% of the vote in a three-way race with Senators Cruz and Rubio, which, this is Paul Bedard writing in the Washington Examiner, which says is the latest sign that Republican voters are ready to accept Donald Trump as their nominee. A new YouGov.com poll finds that in the three-way race, a potential situation after the first several primaries, Trump's support from those backing other candidates surges equally with Cruz and Rubio. See, this is another factor. There are going to be people dropping out of this after Iowa, after New Hampshire. I mean, some of these people sitting out there with 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, they're going to drop out. They've got voters. Where are they going to go? That's what this poll attempted to find out. And they're shocked. The conventional wisdom was that Trump was not going to get any more support than what he already has. They say, well, how come he gets out of Christie? And not predicting anything. I'm just mentioning names. When any of them, Fiorina, when they get out, the theory has been those voters are going to go somewhere else, but not to Trump. They might go to Cruz. They might go to Rubio. They might go to Jeb, but they're not going to go to Trump. This poll shows a lot of them are going to go to Trump. And so the upshot of this is, and this cannot be good news to the Republican establishment, is that when this thing gets narrowed to three ways, Donald Trump still cleans up. When it's Trump, Cruz, and Rubio, Trump's still in the lead. In other words, he doesn't get watered down. The theory was that Trump would get watered down as people leave because their supporters would go elsewhere. Rubio, Cruz. But some of them go to Trump and keep him where he is. This, I guarantee, the establishment is going to lose its mind when they find this out. See, this is another thing the establishment has been hoping would happen, that when some of the other candidates drop out, that others would strengthen. But Trump wouldn't gain it because they've been convinced themselves that Trump's support has maxed, that its Trump peak has happened, that he can't get any more popular, that if he were going to have more support, he would already have it. People supporting other candidates are not going to go to Trump when their candidates drop out. Not true, apparently. So they're going to be beside themselves. And they clearly are on the way, even as we speak. Be right back, folks. Don't go away.